Well, we welcome the viewers and fans along to episode 2 of the Staggies Lounge, and this week we're joined by none other than Michael Gardyne. Unfortunately, Midget's not under better circumstances given the recent injury.
Aye, it's not great, but it's coming on slowly, but we're getting there.
It was unfortunate as well, because I think if you were to ask anybody around the club, and including yourself, you were like a fine wine, you were getting better and better as you were going on, so it's probably a little setback for you.
Aye, definitely. I felt I was obviously doing fine and playing well in the team before the injury, so it was a bit gutting to get it, but you know, there's people had worse injuries than this, so I can't be too down.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose first things first, Michael, we'll go back to the start of your career and growing up in Dundee. What was your early days like as a young boy playing football?
That was great. Obviously you're just you're playing with all your mates in the school and that, and then you join your local team that you get. I was Dundee West Boys Club. I joined, got friendly with people there, and you know, the management team and that were good, and you're just playing without a care in the world, didn't you? Under 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, and it was just a great time. I still see when I go back to Dundee a few of the lads that I played with at that level, and they're always very nice to me about how well I've done in my career.
And I suppose if we fast forward to that day in 2004, I think it was, when you signed your professional contract with Celtic, tell us a bit about that.
That was obviously brilliant. I had been with Celtic since I was 12. Just the usual D form and then S form, tying at the club till you're 16, and then obviously it comes to the time where people find out if they're getting too con or not, and it was Tommy Burns. He came up to Dundee and seen me and the family, and I signed the first 3-year deal. So
he actually came all the way up to Dundee just to meet yourself and your family then?
Aye, he came up to Dundee, aye. Him and my old coach that coached us from Dundee, Sean Smith, they came and met them at the hotel in Dundee, and we got the first contract signed.
And when you look back to that Celtic team and the players that were there at that time, it must have been a dream come true for you.
Aye, it was incredible. Obviously going in that first season, first 3-4 year there, it was Larsson and Sutton, Hartson, Lennon. It was all the big hitters, big characters, and you know, it was brilliant for me, like going in there and just seeing what it was all about. And it wasn't just the training, you know, you were working on a day-to-day basis, cleaning boots, doing kit. You were in there 8:30 in the morning till 5 in the evening, but it was brilliant.
And then moving on from there, would you feel that gave you the foundations to getting your first spell here then at Ross County? Aye,
obviously, like the stuff you do on the training pitch at Celtic and the coaches that you work under, you know, I worked under William McStay, Ken McDowell, Tommy Burns, Jim McInally. You know, it was all good coaches that taught you the game and everything that goes with it. And then the chance to come on loan to Ross County came up, and me and Gary Irvine actually came up together.
So you joined at the same time then?
Aye, both of us came on loan from Celtic that first season under Scott Leach, for the season long loan.
And back then, in those early years, that Ross County team and facility that you came and joined then must differ a lot from what we find it as today.
Aye, it's incredible, the change. Obviously being here 11-12 years ago, that maybe was. Just the changes, you know, the stands, the training facilities, the dressing rooms, just everything about the whole club's just went like from there to there. It's just been a fine progression.
And how did you find your first spell at the club? Was that when we won the Challenge Cup?
Aye, so the first season it was like good and bad. Don Cowie was here at that time as well. It was good and it was bad. I obviously scored on my debut and everything was going good. We won the Challenge Cup final on penalties, but we ended up getting relegated at the end of the season. Gretna beat us up here and they won the league and we got relegated.
And then if you look on from there, I think you had a brief spell at Greenock Morton. Did that spell at Morton give you a realisation just how far Ross County were trying to push the boundaries at that point then?
Aye, definitely. I went back to Celtic after that season and got away to Morton for I signed a year contract, but you know, I wasn't going to. It started off fine and it wasn't going too great. Jim McInally was good. He said Ross County had came in and wanted to take me in the January, and you know, Ross County were, after having been relegated, they were cruising in the league below, and I thought it's a good chance for me to go back, win a medal, playing half the season, and obviously being back in the first division.
So there was no hesitation on your behalf coming back up then?
No, definitely not. Just like I said, Jim McInally was great with me. You know, he says to me, I won't stand your way, it's probably a good opportunity for you. And the way things were going at Morton, and I came back up and it was Derek Adams was the manager and George Adams, and they brought me back up and kind of never looked back for the next few years.
And if we look ahead to the season when Ross County kind of made all the headlines when they got to the Scottish Cup final, what was the road to the final like then?
It was brilliant. Obviously, as well, we were actually doing fine in the league that season as well, and we maybe had a chance to push and challenge, but a few games got called off here, so we're 4 or 5 games behind, and then obviously the Scottish Cup run kind of just took over. The quarter final against Hibs was obviously brilliant, quite special for me, scoring the goal down there, and then obviously beating Celtic in the semis was kind of stuff our dreams were made of. But we were kind of, obviously we were first division, punching above our weight, but you know, we just had that belief that we could go out and get results in the big games.
Was there a real belief going into those 2 games that we could go and win it at that point then?
Aye, there definitely was. I think Hibs were not going through a great time at that time, and we got the draw down there and obviously the replay up here, and we won that, and then going to Hampden, it was like, I'm not sure if we did believe that we were going to win, but that was like our cup final, because we were like, we're at Hampden, it's against Celtic, let's just go out and relax and enjoy it, and we ended up beating them, which was incredible. And then the final was different. I wouldn't say it was a different feeling, but I'm not too sure. It just felt like there was more pressure in the final than the semi-final, which is maybe strange to say.
I've spoken to not only yourself but the likes of the manager now and Richie Britton and Scott Boyd, who's back again, about the Ross County team at that point, and they've all said something similar, that they almost felt like they were a team that had something to prove to Scottish football. Aye,
it was Derek Adams done well to recruit a lot of players that had maybe been released from good big teams. Obviously, like myself and Paul Lawson came from Celtic, and there was a couple from Rangers, and like the likes of Scott Boyd, and obviously the manager now Stuart Kettlewell. It was that kind of thing where we do have something like, we believe that we could play at that level, and it maybe was a bit of that, and it was just a fine team. Like we worked hard on the pitch. We were always doing things off the pitch, whether it was a night out, day out, golfing, whatever it was. It was just a very tight-knit group.
I think even for the likes of myself, who wasn't involved at Ross County at that point, when you looked at that Ross County team and the togetherness they had, not only within the group but with the fans in the community, there was always something special about Ross County in that era.
It was, and obviously the fans they obviously appreciated that we were maybe punching above our weight a bit, but it was the days out that the fans got with that, the 2 trips to Hampden and stuff. It was incredible, and that we did have that bond. And it was just a great team to be involved in.
And then moving on from there, you had that brief spell at Dundee United.
Aye, it was obviously great. I'd signed the pre-contract with United in the January, but I stayed and we went on to win the league comfortably, and it was a good feeling to leave, having took Ross County to the Scottish Premiership, and the chance to Dundee United to move home on a 3-year deal. It was just too good, and I had a good start there. Scored on my debut, and I enjoyed my first season there.
Was it with a heavy heart you made that decision, if you look at it through your Ross County glasses?
Aye, it was. United came in, it was a good offer, 3-year deal and that, and at the time I'm not sure, Ross County couldn't really offer anything in the January. I'm not sure if it was because they weren't sure we were going to go up, or for whatever reason it was. So I signed, and it was sad leaving, but I couldn't have left in any better way than helping get the club promoted to the Premiership.
Yeah, and from Dundee United, am I right in thinking you had your spell at Kilmarnock?
The chance to Kilmarnock to go on loan and play games for the season came up, and I thought, I spoke to Alan Johnston, he wanted to play me up top with Chris Boyd, and I just thought, what an opportunity to go and link with someone like Chris Boyd, and that worked out well for that season as well.
Was that a time you enjoyed at Kilmarnock then?
Aye, it was good. It was good in a lot of ways. Obviously, just there was some really good players at Kilmarnock as well, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the training every day. It was good lads. Even the travel to training was good. I used to travel with James Fowler and Dan Barr, and it was just, everything about it was good. And then obviously the games. I think we did struggle a bit towards the end of the season. We were in a relegation fight, but we went away to Hibs and beat them, and that was us safe. And just like I say, the chance to link with Chris Boyd up front was brilliant.
And as fate would have it, ultimately you ended up back up at Ross County again.
Aye, so it was that following pre-season, and I'd spoke to Derek Adams a bit, but I wasn't sure if he was really having it, and obviously he left, and the manager now, Stephen Ferguson, he was like caretaker, and he just phoned me and he just said, asked me if I would come back up. He just said the way things were going at the club, and there's a lot of foreign boys and stuff, and he just says he would want me to come up for two reasons, my football reasons, and to have a bit of character about the place and get that kind of identity back within the club. And I came back, and I'm still here.
Was that an opportunity then, after your spells at Dundee United and Kilmarnock, that you were excited about?
Aye, it was, because originally it was just a season-long loan, and you're just thinking, where am I going to go after that? But I just thought to myself, I'm going to try and have a good season here and hopefully get a deal that'll extend beyond that season.
And if you look to where you are now, looking back on that time, did you ever envisage that this would be so successful for you that you would break so many records?
No, obviously, when I came back in that, I don't think I was kind of near the records that. I'm not too sure, but it's not something you really think about when you come back. I signed the permanent deal under Jim McIntyre. That was brilliant. That was a good time as well. And then obviously the following season to break the goal records, and done it again in the Kilmarnock game out there. I think he called it and broke it in the same night I scored the double. So it was just a great feeling when I got told after the game. It was brilliant, and it's something for a bit of personal pride.
That time at Ross County when you came back up, just how much has the club changed in that short space of time then?
Aye, it has. It's changed a lot, obviously. Just everything around about the place, everything's changed, everything's different, everything's bigger and better, which obviously it needs to be when you go league on league, and we're not punching above our weight anymore. We're a Premiership team, and we just need to make sure that we keep going, and we still are. And
for yourself, Michael, if you look on to that day where we did win a national trophy, and fortunately for you, you managed to get one of the goals that day, did it almost feel that you had some wrongs to right in a National Cup final when you look back to the Dundee United game?
Aye, definitely, especially for me personally. I was one of the ones that were still there, and it was just the whole build up to it was just a great feeling. I just had a great feeling about it, and you do think about the previous cup final because we just didn't turn up at all against Dundee United in that final, so you are thinking about it beforehand. But I just had a feeling it was my daughter's birthday the exact same day and stuff. Yeah. Just wee things, and then obviously to get the goal and be involved in setting up the winner was brilliant.
And just how long did it take then for you for it to sink in that not only did we win it that day, but you'd managed to write your name in the history books by scoring? Aye,
it was massive. Obviously, just after the game, went back to Dundee, had a family meal, and we're just all talking about it, and they were saying it and stuff, and it was then I was starting to think about it, and I was like, aye, it's quite a big thing, aye.
Yeah, well, I know that was something that I was involved in, and even when you look back to this day, from my point of view, you think some clubs might never win a national trophy in their final, so for a club like Ross County to go and do it in the manner that they did, as well as the semi-final, putting Celtic out, it was a huge achievement.
Oh, it was massive, aye. Especially like Celtic at that time. Like Celtic are always Celtic. It's always hard to beat them. Big players, big game players, and we went 1-0 down after about 3 minutes. So the character to get through that game as well was incredible. But definitely, just what you said there, like some players that I've played with who are maybe better or whatever have never even played in a final or won a medal. So it was incredible for that group and just Ross County as a whole.
And not long following that, we obviously hit the bad spell when the club ultimately got relegated after it looked like we had a bit of continuity in the Premier League. And the last Staggies Lounge, we sat with Richard Foster, and there was that famous picture between you and him on that day at Perth. What did it mean to you when the club got relegated from the Premier League?
It was devastating, obviously devastating. Not just for me, obviously I've been here a long time and had a lot of ups and downs, but just for everyone, it's just that horrible feeling. And like right after the game, you start to think about the people within the club that might lose jobs and stuff like that. It's just a horrible time, horrible feeling. But obviously Stuart and Steve and the managers were here, and they had a plan going forward right away. Basically from the day after we got relegated, they knew what they wanted for the season ahead, the players they wanted, all that kind of stuff. And you were going into your summer, although you were down from just getting relegated, you were still looking forward and excited for the season ahead.
and at that moment in time in that pre-season, you probably couldn't have asked for two better people to be in charge of the club to keep that fire, Ross County fire, burning in people's stomachs to get us to ultimately win the championship at the first time asking.
Aye, definitely. They two have obviously got that history with the club. You know, they've been involved in the kind of, Ketz was the 20s manager. He won the League Cup, like whatever it was he won there, the league. He won the league there, and Fergie's just always been here. You know, he's always been in charge of the youth, and he's had a couple of caretaker spells, and you know, just the way they wanted to go about it, the ideas and plans they had going ahead, you know, it was exciting. Like I said, that summer going into it, and the season we had was incredible.
It was an amazing season, I think, for us all looking back, and it almost felt the very first day where we got together in pre-season that there was going to be a title challenging team at that point when we looked about the quality that the managers had managed to put together.
Aye, it definitely was that first day, two days of pre-season when we came in, and I was just looking about, and I just had a good feeling. I felt good about the squad that we'd brought in, and you know, went away in pre-season and with a really good pre-season, and I just had a good feeling, and you know, it was an unbelievable achievement to come up first time, because there's clubs that have went down and they're down there for 3, 4, 5 seasons, so to come back up at the first time asking was a great achievement.
You've seen the Premier League through many different seasons now. How would you say this Premier League compares to what it has been, given the strength of not only the two Glasgow clubs back in, but the two Edinburgh ones as well? Aye,
it's very strong. It's very strong, and you know, you could also see that with, like, look at Hearts just now. That just shows how strong this league is at the minute, and obviously you've got Celtic and Rangers up there kind of run away with it, but you know, there's maybe 5, 6, 7 clubs that could push into top 6, and then there's maybe 6 clubs that could go into the relegation zone, so it makes obviously for an exciting season for everyone else, but as a player, you know, you want to make sure you're going out on that pitch on a Saturday and you're getting your 3 points that take care of you and your club.
Well, hopefully throughout this interview we've kind of managed to paint a picture of, you've had many highs at Ross County and some lows. With somebody who's played with such big players and had such a good career, is there any main influences that you would draw upon that you've had to help you through the harder times?
Growing up when I was younger, there was always our Dundee coach that worked for Celtic. He was incredible, old Sean Smith. He was actually like 74 years old, and he would take us out, and he was the best two-footed player I've ever seen. He was always the one when I was younger that, you know, you would listen to, and he just taught you everything. Left foot, right foot, whatever it was, he taught you everything. And then more recently, going through some bad times or whatever, it's just the old one. After relegation, we got relegated in Perth, in St Johnstone. I live in Dundee. I was just back to my mum's house. Yeah. Your mum and dad, just the old reliable ones.
The people that's always been there for you.
The ones that have always been there and seen you go through all the highs, and then when you have the lows, they're the people that are there for you. So I'd probably say my mum and dad, especially through that last relegation period there.
And when you look back in your career, and hopefully there's still many highs to come, but would you say there's been a defining moment so far that you want fans throughout Scottish football to remember Michael Gardyne for?
I hopefully not any of the stupid stuff, because you know, I'm well known for being a bit of a character, but I'm proud of the career that I've had, and definitely continue to have. Still believe I've still got a couple of years left in the tank, and you know, obviously the personal accolades of the highest goal scorer and appearance holder at the club's something that sits very nice for me, and you know, it'll be nice when I do finish up in a few years to have the records, and you know, looking forward to seeing if somebody's good enough as me to break them.
Well, I think all we can do, Mike, is say thank you for this interview. It's something that I personally have been looking forward to doing with you, albeit I know a lot of your stories away from here, but I think it's great to share it with our fans and the rest of Scottish football. So on behalf of us all, thank you.
Brilliant, mate.